That's why I said like the last video the last couple of videos, I can't remember what video it was, but I said that I believe that that was the start of me isolating myself because it was a form of running away from my problems.
Hmm. Okay, so part three. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Let's pick up where we left off.
Yeah.
So we left off, I believe, I found out Ashton was talking to somebody else and we lost trust. So, but we decided to make it work. He said he was sorry. Um, and I forgave him because we had a child together. So it was important for me to stay together because I made that vow to the Lord. I made a vow to him. And, I didn't want anybody to prove me wrong that I shouldn't have got married. So, and I did love him. I still love him. Um, so, I figured we could work on the trust thing and we ended up working it out, as best I thought we could. We ended up actually doing a little bit better. We got over that hump and we end up deciding, maybe a year or so later when our oldest was about 3, we wanted to, okay, have another baby. So we tried to get pregnant. It took us like 9 months, I think.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yep. And I'm working at this point. He's working, and we have bought our first house at this point as well.
Yep.
And we get pregnant with baby number 2, and it's a girl.
Your grandma finally got her girl.
Grandma got her girl. And I'm
Right.
thinking, okay, this girl is just what we need. She's going to soften his hard heart, and he's just going to be this amazing girl dad. Like, he's going to rock it. That's what I'm thinking. She's going to be everything we need to fix our relationship.
Really?
And yeah, I did. I thought that.
Hmm.
Yeah, moms and women think that kids fix things. You didn't know that?
Makes
It's
sense.
not the case, by the way. If you think a child is going to fix your broken relationship, you got another thing coming because it
Yeah.
does not fix. It
Yeah.
doesn't fix. You guys have to work on you first before you bring a child into it. Now, I'm not saying if you have a child, it's already over, but a child will not make you feel more loved, and it won't make you feel, it brings a sense of, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Like purpose, but it doesn't make you feel any more loved from your husband. You
Hmm.
feel love from your child, and that's a love you can't ever, get from something else, but doesn't fix this.
Yeah. This is where I first get a glimpse of God's love, kind of. Um, so this is where I started to read my Bible more. And I don't know. I don't want to say that our second child kind of did soften my heart a little bit. But after that, losing the trust of my wife really made her heart really hard, I think, during that. Because over the next couple years, it started to get to where she was treating me the way I was treating her. She was belittling me. Um, just, I don't want to say you didn't care because I'm pretty sure you did care, but there were times where I felt like you didn't care.
Like,
Um,
when? Can you give me an example?
um,
Like, what shows you that I don't care?
I don't know. One, I mean, that's kind of hard because I can't remember because I try to put it out of my brain. I don't want to go back to those days. You know what I mean? I do not I do not want to dwell on the past.
Okay.
So,
But we're kind of telling our
but we're
story
telling our
about the
story.
past,
I
so
know,
we kind of need to know.
but I mean, just little things that you did. Um, the way you talked to me showed me that you didn't care. The way you treated me, I felt like you thought I was an idiot the entire time.
Hmm.
Um,
we can talk about that.
What? That how you thought I was an idiot?
The way I treated you a certain way because at this time, Ashton, so we had moved into our new house, and an addiction to video games became very evident.
Mm-hmm.
And the grass wouldn't get mowed,
Yeah.
the roof wouldn't get blown off, the leaves were filling the gutters. Wait, no, we didn't have gutters.
We didn't have
We have gutters
gutters.
now.
Yeah.
Just little things that I always thought, okay, yes, a guy is supposed to do these things, wouldn't get done.
Anyways, the grass wouldn't get mowed.
Yeah. So little things that I thought
What a man should
what
do.
a man should do, the grass, yes, that was an issue for us. The grass would be up to my knees, and family would come over and they would look at me and say, tell me everything that my husband isn't doing. Okay, I know this. I live with him. And people would come over and he would be in the office on the computer. So we started to have this disconnect, and he started playing WoW, World of Warcraft. Okay, if you know, it can take over your life. So I guess because he wasn't happy with himself or with me or with our marriage and just being needed, this is what how I understood it. At the time, I didn't know he was like escaping, but I did kind of feel like he was escaping, and he was letting things go at the house that needed to be done. And it was affecting how people thought about me. And as a woman, you care about that. You care about what people think. He wouldn't, like go get his hair cut. He didn't care about himself.
Yeah.
And that was frustrating. If you don't love yourself, how can you love your wife?
Yeah.
And later on, years down the road, that there's a verse that I was reading, a man is supposed to love his wife as himself. And after all this, I read that one day and I came to this like aha moment. Wow, he didn't love himself.
Yeah.
That's why he couldn't love me, because he didn't even love himself.
Mm-hmm.
But at this time, you didn't know that.
No, I didn't know that.
This came out in counseling.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I said like the last video or the last couple of videos, I can't remember what video it was, but I said that I believe that was the start of me isolating myself because it was a form of running away from my problems.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to deal with them. So I just pushed them aside. After going to counseling, marriage counseling, and also after a lot of prayer and leaning on God, he really showed me this is what was going on, and you just kind of sat there and kept pushing it away. So
when I would ask you to mow the grass, like, what was your thought process?
I didn't want to do that. I just got done working, 10, 12 hours. Why would I want to go do that? I'm tired.
Yeah.
I work outside for a living. Why would I want to be outside? This excuses. Like, to be honest with you, like, now we live on.
Can't tell. Don't. That comes at the end. Don't tell what happens at the end.
I'm not telling what happens at the end,
Okay.
but what I'm saying is that now we live on something that's 10 times the size of what we live on.
Mm-hmm.
We used to live on,
mm-hmm.
and I don't mind mowing the grass.
Yeah.
I just put on music and I just go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that could be time where I could be talking to the Lord and listening to music, listening to podcasts. It's not that big of a deal. It's literally just being lazy.
Yep.
Just being really, really lazy.
Yeah.
So, because at that time, no man wants to agree on the terms that he is depressed. No man wants to do that. Because from a young age, you are taught to bottle up your feelings, deal with it. In the military, we called it embracing the suck. It's just the cards that you're dealt with, and this is what you have to deal with.
So that was your way of dealing with it, getting on your game?
Yeah, it was an escape. Because the people, I mean, you're probably not going to like this, but there were good things and bad things about the game. The bad thing was that it took over my life.
Yeah.
It made me do things that I shouldn't have done. and
Mhm.
it put things to the side what needs to be done. But the value of friendship of those guys that I've met online, to this day, I can call them. Actually, I'm leaving next week to go see one of my buddies because he just got married. You know what I mean? The friendships that I got from that, some friendships. Now, I don't sit there and talk to all the people I've met, but I can count them on one hand the amount of guys that I play with, in which they don't play anymore either because it took over their lives too. They saw that. There's other things in life instead of sitting behind a computer 8 hours a day. Like I came home, I worked 10, 12-hour days, came home and sat for another 8 hours, midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning.
3 o'clock in the morning. I would go to bed, and 12 o'clock, he's not here. 1 o'clock, he's not here. 2 o'clock. It was so frustrating to me. And it got to the point where I started suspecting something. So it came to the point I was I was getting frustrated because I didn't have a partner. I had some random dude that lived in my house that was the father of my kids, but we didn't really know each other. We didn't have anything in common. He would try to get, well, why don't you play with me? Why don't you play with me? Well, honestly, I don't want to play with something I despise.
Mm-hmm.
I despised it. And I thought it was childish and immature. Again, because to me, that wasn't manly.
Yeah.
Okay. Girls, we like to see the muscles. We like to see, the guys working hard. I mean, at least I do. I like to see, somebody. To me, my love language is quality time, and it wasn't always the case. My love language used to be gifts. I never got gifts. Okay. No birthday gift, no Mother's Day gift, like ever. I think he only got me maybe a card, okay, but no gifts ever.
Well, that was 1 year.
Maybe 1 year he did he surprised me and got me a camera, and I
Cried.
I cried because I was like so starved for that kind of love. But you'll see what happens is my quality time was so depleted. I was starved for just sit with me. I don't care what we do. Just spend time with me. And acts of service was huge. And I got no acts of service. What was his love language? Well, you can guess.
Like every man.
Like every man. Physical touch.
Still
Did I
the same
want to
to this
touch him?
day.
Did I want to love on him when he was starving me so much?
Mm-hmm.
And even quality time, I didn't want to spend time with him.
Yeah.
Because all we would do is argue over the video game. We would go out to eat, and he would be with friends. Like, we didn't have any friends. His isolation isolated me. And people they pitied me. I mean, I'm not kidding you. I would have my family come over. He would be playing video games. He would just ignore everybody. My friends would come over, wouldn't say hi to him. He's over here in the dark playing video games.
Okay,
I'm not.
No. I would say hi to them.
Okay, you'd say hi.
You're over exaggerating.
I might be, but this is how I perceived it.
Okay, I'm not saying that it wasn't bad, but during that time of what I did to escape my reality, because the way she was treating me, because what she was dealing with, right? I was, both of our cups were not getting filled.
Yeah.
And
how did it make you feel? Because I'm explaining how I felt.
Yeah, I didn't want to be part of it. Again, that's why.
So what did you decide to do?
That was my reality. That was the place I wanted to go because going there made me feel good.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's what the addiction of video gaming, escaping reality, because the way I was being treated, how I felt being stupid. You didn't call me stupid, but you treated me like I was stupid, like I was an idiot. You treated, yes, I would agree now that I was pretty lazy because I was always on the video games.
Yeah.
So
Can I give an example?
no. Um, so because I'm done with the examples.
Right.
So now, a few years of this whole thing, she's pregnant again
Mm-hmm.
with our third kid,
Mm-hmm.
and in the middle of her pregnancy, I had enough of it.
Okay.
That was during that pregnancy because I remember one statement that you said.
Okay. Okay. I think you're right.
Yep, I know I'm right.
Yeah.
Again, submit. No, I'm just playing. Just kidding. No, it was during the pregnancy because you told me you were trying to leave me while I was pregnant, and you were pregnant with a third kid.
You're right.
I remember that.
Yeah. Well,
Hold on.
you wanted the third baby.
I wanted the third baby, yes, because I come from a family of three kids. You only had two. It was you and your sister, but yeah, the I wanted to leave her during the pregnancy because I had enough.
Mm-hmm.
My cup was not getting full. It wasn't. It was no drops in there. Her cup was not get. It was not getting full. So we were two empty, starved, depleted people.
Yeah. We didn't feel loved.
So during that time, what did you do during that time?
So he tells me, I remember I called him. He was at work, and I said I love you, and he didn't say it back on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately, okay, I'm thinking, what? I'm thinking the worst. What? You don't love me? And he would not say it. And he's always been the one to say I love you. Every time we hang, and he used to get mad at me if I didn't say I love you when we would hang up. I'm like, I just don't have to say it every time. I know I love you. I know you love me. Well, he didn't say it back to me, and then, buddy,
clicked.
something's going on.
Yeah.
So it freaked me out. And then we started. He said, "No, I don't," and I lost it.
Yeah.
Crying again.
But when all that happened, I was about to leave because I was I was working up, doing all the math, everything that I researched to see if I can afford an apartment while paying child support because I will take care of my kids. Because my kids shouldn't have to suffer with the decision that I made between their mother and I. I don't believe that.
Yeah.
So all the math that I did, I'm like, well, I could afford a small 1-bedroom apartment in the ghetto while paying child support to help raise my kids.
Were you talking to somebody?
No, not talking to anybody.
Okay.
No.
Because that was my first thought.
No,
Who's he talking to? He's not going to leave me. He's definitely talking to somebody.
No, I was done. I wasn't talking to anybody.
Okay. Yeah. So now the shoe is on the other foot. It's not, I'm this awesome person. He sucks. It's, oh my gosh, what can I do to get him to stay?
Yeah.
So I realized, okay, I had always confided in my mother, which is terrible. You guys don't do that. And she, of course, jumps on the bandwagon with me. Tables are turned now. She says, Scarlett, you got to make this work. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? Huh?
You just said don't take advice from my mom, but she's the one that said.
Yeah, she's all on the hater bandwagon. And then when all of a sudden it
which
changes,
is surprising because
she's like, you got to make it work. And I'm like, oh, how dare she? I don't want to talk to her. But actually, I just remember feeling God change my heart. And my heart hurt so bad for Ashton because, yes, this whole time I felt like I got gypped my whole marriage because it wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't what I expected. I feel like I got less than I deserved. Think what you want about me, but this is honestly, truly how I felt. So I feel like I get gypped, and now he's leaving me. Maybe it is me. Maybe something is wrong with me. And God hurt my heart in a way that it almost was like I felt Ashton's abuse, because I did verbally abuse him. I did say he was over. I picked on his weight. I picked on everything that I didn't like. And I felt like probably how he felt. It was like God was showing me, this is how he feels. Like, you're hurting his heart. You're hurting his manhood. You're hurting his spirit. And I was so brokenhearted over it. Like, I was really sad, because I was like, this is how I show I love somebody. You know, regardless, God says turn the other cheek. And I wasn't turning the other cheek. And like, I'm feeling how I felt, because God really opened my eyes and opened my heart to, you've got to do better. You can't treat people like this, regardless of how they treat you. At the end of your life, when you see the Father and he shows you everything in your life, how did you honor him? Did you honor him by loving your husband? Or did you disgrace him? Did you dishonor the Lord by the way you treated your husband? Were you the better person? And no, I wasn't the better person. I was just as bad as he was. And God was showing me that in a way that I'd receive it. And so I cried and I cried and I begged God to forgive me. And I begged Ashton to forgive me. And I said, I just begged him. And I was like, I will change. I understand. I'm so sorry for the way, because I see now. And if you will give me another chance, I will make it work. I promise. I won't talk to you that way. I will try my best. I will actually try.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, that day I came home from work. I mean, like any
I made
other
pho.
like any other man, the best way to his heart's through his stomach.
Yep.
She made me one of my favorite meals, which is pho. Mm-hmm. A white woman making pho.
I tried.
She did a really good job. So I was like, all right, let's try to work on this thing.
Yeah. But I don't feel like he was fully there. He was like, okay, I guess.
Your heart first got hard the way I was treating you when, in our first years of marriage. And then the way you were treating me in the middle of our marriage, mm-hmm. Then I would, say that my heart got hard, because deep down I'm like, she really doesn't care about me. Like, mm-hmm. She's just doing this, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Honest truth, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, and then fast forwarded a couple more years, Josh was born, our third kid was born. Mm-hmm.
Because I was pregnant when he wanted to leave me, and I was like, you're trying to leave me and I'm pregnant? Like, you wanted this baby.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He decides, fine. I think honestly he was like, okay, I can't afford it, so we'll just try. That's what I think.
Oh man.
Am I right?
Probably.
Yeah. And so I felt like, okay, God's going to use this baby again. Yep. My prayer life started changing. And he comes, we start doing this Hypno Babies class, and we have to do it together. And I do think it brought us together. I felt like it did.
Yeah.
So we would go to these classes once a week, and we would spend like 3 hours. It was a long time.
On a Friday night.
And what it does is it really, the husband is the crutch. Like, he's strong and powerful and secure. And you, as a wife, you feel secure in your husband. He's going to be the guy you're leaning on when you're giving birth, because you're not having any, I was going to have a home birth and no pain medicine, nothing. So there's these, you read these tracks to each other. And what it does is you really are changing your mindset. Like, I can do this, and it's beautiful. And there's some cues that the husband does. He puts his hand on, either the woman's shoulder or her head, and it's supposed to calm her. And 100% it works. Amazing. So we spent a lot of time reading to each other, sitting in bed, and he would say these tracks, whatever it was, like positive affirmations, and I would just fall asleep to them because they were so long. But I felt like we were getting closer together. We were spending time together. And I started to feel more secure. Well, God's working in the background through all of this. He comes home because he has a guy at work who's a strong Christian, and he starts praying at work with Ashton.
Yeah.
And
Like we weren't. It wasn't just praying with me. We would pray for people. Like, and this is where, now, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
This is where, like, where it matters where your heart is. Because I felt like, I don't want to say that my heart wasn't there, because my mind was there, but I don't know if my heart was there, right? Because we were, because he was pretty much witnessing to me during the whole process of me working at that place.
And I had no idea.
Yeah.
That this was going on.
And he convinced me we would start praying for miracles. Like, people would come in to the warehouse and, like, man, we see them limping or holding their back because, I mean, they were lifting heavy stuff all day. We would ask him what's going on. His name was
you don't have to share his
name. Oh, okay, then I won't say his name. But we'll just call him Steve.
It wasn't his name.
It wasn't his name, but yeah. And Steve would be like, yo, what's wrong with you, man? He's like, oh, man, my back hurts. Talking to a customer, my back hurts. I tweaked it, doing this and that. He goes, Ashton, come over here. I'm like, what's up? He's like, we're going to pray for this man. And we laid hands. This is where I started to lay hands on people, and he would just pray fire and for healing. And to be honest with you, I think it was his faith carried my faith.
Yeah.
In a sense, because we would pray for this guy, and I'm sitting there and I'm mumbling my prayers, and he's just praying out loud. And at the end of the prayer, he would ask whoever he's praying for, how does it feel? Either say, nah, it's the same, or, man, I feel kind of better. And then he would get super excited.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's kind of the thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what he does now, but I know he was going to seminary school, and he was going on pure faith in God. Yeah. Because he didn't have any I don't know if he had anything saved up, but he put everything he had into it. Yeah.
Well, he comes home one day and gets at my feet and is weeping.
Yeah.
And at that point, I'm like, oh my God, like, this is amazing. I never expected this. And he's crying and apologizing to me. He's like, I don't even remember what he said. Like, I didn't know what I had. And like, I'm just like overwhelmed. Just picture me standing. We're in my bedroom. I was on the side of my bed, and he's just at my feet, and he's just like, I want to pray for you, or I want to pray.
Yeah.
And he's like, I love you, and
begging for forgiveness,
begging me to forgive him.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, thank you, God. This is what I've been praying for like, 7 years or whatever, or 6, however many years that I've been. And I'm like, oh, this is it. This is it. Everything's going to change from here. And I had prayed, and God told me in my prayer life, like, he just kept speaking the word change. Like, change is coming. And I kept hearing that. So I'm thinking immediate change, especially when I see that. And I think, okay, all uphill from here. And that was a beautiful time. We ended up having Joshua, my third baby, at home. Supposed to be a water birth. Wasn't. He came so fast. And Ashton was there for me. And
waiting
I knew God was going. I was at church one day, and I was singing in the choir, and God just showed me a vision. And I could just see the Lord, his arms out like this. And it was just this beautiful light shining. And he was there for me. he knew he was going to be there with me when I gave birth to Joshua. And it was just so beautiful. I remember I was like on the bleachers or the risers singing in choir practice. Sunday morning, the sun was coming through the windows of the church. It was so pretty. And um, fast forward to birthing day, just me and Ashton. The midwife wasn't there yet because I didn't think the baby was coming. I thought I had like 9 more hours.
Yeah.
And I was just at peace. I was in my bedroom and I was comfortable, and he was there. And because when I realized the baby's actually coming, I freaked out. I started to panic because I'm like, I could feel the intensity getting stronger, and I knew I couldn't go to the hospital. I decided I was going to have this birth at home, no medication, no pain reliever. So my mind is going from "you got this" to "oh my gosh, this is actually real." And we're like in this hallway, and he just puts his arms around me, and he's like, "You got this." And I was like, "Okay, I got this. All right." And then I was fine after that. And he just put his hand on my head, and it was just like peace. My whole body was at peace. And he calls the midwife. He's like, the baby's coming. Because I thought I was going to be ready. I was sitting on the ball, and it hurt. And I get on the bed, and he's like, "There's a head there."
Well, no, it was my mom. My mom came and picked up the other two, and then my mom, Scarlett, laying in the bed, you know, and my mom comes in with the other two, and she says, "All right, tell mommy goodbye." And Scarlett goes, "Get out!"
Because I needed to focus. Okay,
I was like, "Okay,
focus.
it's time to go."
Yeah.
So as soon as the bedroom door closed, he's crowning.
Yeah, baby was crowning. He gets on the phone with the midwife.
Oh,
the
this
baby's
is
coming.
where no, it was like a fight or flight. So
Yeah.
like I called her, tell me what to do. Again, right? It's not embracing the suck, but just dealing with the cards that you're dealt with.
Yeah.
There's nothing we could do. There's nothing that I could do. My wife's in labor, right? And I have to catch this baby. Who else is going to catch this baby? Right? Nobody. It's just us two in the house.
Yeah.
I called the midwife on FaceTime. I said, he's crowning. The baby's here. What do I do? You tell me. I'll do it. She goes, nothing. You catch. And so he just came out, called baby, and then I put him on her chest, and that was that.
That was that. And I felt like all while this is going on, of course, I'm the one in labor. I'm the one, I didn't push nothing. It was a beautiful experience. He just came out beautiful. And I was on my bed. I didn't even get into the pool or anything, and he's just there. And I just felt the presence of the Holy Spirit. I knew, like, I saw Jesus there in a vision, whatever you want to call it, but he was in the room with us. And I was just so overwhelmed by his love, and I just felt warmth, and I felt his embrace, and I felt our connection. I felt like this is it. We are finally, this is what marriage is supposed to be. This is what love feels like. Of course, you have this rush of oxytocin when you have a baby because it's that love, it's that bonding hormone. And he was there, and he caught our child. It was just amazing. So at this point, we're gonna have to cut it, and we'll talk about on the next video what happened.
Part 4.
But it wasn't all uphill like I thought, or it wasn't all, amazing like I thought. Something ends up happening, and you'll have to watch the next video to find out what actually happens.
See you next time.
So we'll see you in the next video.